Benson in the house this morning. Good morning, Benson. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you here this morning. It's the Bro Show coming into you live and direct. It's Tuesday, February 6th. Nice to see you here this morning. Somebody on the internet asked me if you could have a relationship with any celebrity, dead or alive, which one would you choose? I said alive. How did Cook spell this month? February. That's right. Nice to see you here this morning. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me here wherever you may be. It's nice to be here on the morning show. We're going to get things rolling here this morning with a cup of coffee and a little bit of Magic the Gathering card. How was your Monday? I hope it was a good one. Me, myself, and we've got a busy day here planned today. The working man for the working man is going to be out the door here just past the hour. But we've got a good show here for you folks before we do. I hope you folks have a good day planned today, and I'm wishing you well wherever you may be. Thanks for those of you tuning in, and everybody tuning in on the juice. The juice is in the house, and the house is in the juice, of course. This morning, we're coming to you live and direct with some news articles here from the stock desk. It's going to be a decent time. Benson, good morning. Nice to see you here this morning. Oh, and the Twiddler is here. Good morning. Got your coffee going? I hope you are having a good one this morning, Twids. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is I make my bed. And the first thing I'm doing tomorrow is taking this thing back to IKEA. I bought one of those traveling lions yesterday. I woke up this morning, it was gone. And if you're having troubles getting up in the morning, try drinking a pint of water before you go to bed. It'll give you a reason to get up. And if joining me on the morning show isn't reason enough, perhaps that will help you do it. Appreciate you folks coming in this morning by way of stock desk. If it's you're having trouble getting up, like I said, put on the Bro Show, start your day with me. I mean, why don't helicopters get up in the morning? It's too early. That's right. It's too early for helicopters. I already burned 800 calories this morning. I left the pizza oven on overnight, so we're going to have a little bit of a stream this morning, running lean, if you know what I mean. Nice to see you here. Well, let's get warmed up here this morning a little bit with some AI-generated magic cards. If you have seen the show, if you tuned in once before, you know how this works. If the card is playable any way whatsoever, we're going to give it a pass. You'll hear this sound. But if it's non-functional, if we got any gibberish on the card any way whatsoever, we'll fail it. You'll hear this sound. The sound of the buzzing, cousin. Yesterday, I was driving to work. I got so angry at this lady. She was driving and texting on the way to work. So I rolled down my window and threw my beer can at her just to let her know she needs to get off the phone. All right, let's take a look at some AI generated magic cards here, this folks. What do we got here? The Preyed On Drifter drifting into the stream here this morning. But Daddy, I love him. This guy's cute. It's a 4-mana 2/2. First thing this morning, there was a tap on my door. My plumber has a very funny sense of humor. What do we got here for you folks? This Defender, 2/2, 4-mana, Preyed On Drifter. Looks like he's sand skiing here this morning. Pay 1, Preyed On Drifter becomes a copy of Preyed On Drifter. Just becomes a copy of itself. Because that's what you always wanted in your drifters. Activate only if you control 2 or more green permanents. This seems fine. Becomes a copy of itself, though. Doesn't seem like it does enough here. Can we pass it? We probably can. If your radio only works in the morning, perhaps it's an AM radio. You'd always tune in here. Let's pass this one, this mirror. It'd be a very powerful card, except you need enough mana. You know what I mean? How are we going to rate this? I say just fair. Underpowered. Tonight's the night, eh? Can't wait for tonight. There's a game going on at Twiddler's Place if you haven't caught it once before. All right, I woke up this morning, I had all my books and knickknacks and all these cards scattered all over the floor here. I only have my shelf to blame. But I can also blame this card here. Hap Boast's Eyes. 8/8 for 5. We got some mana efficiency here. Let's see here. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and it's got Doctor's Companatalize. Doctor's Companatalize? It's like Doctor's Compensation. Create a 1/1 red wizard transformer creature token. Interesting. And Constellation, whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, Hab Post Eyes gets 1/1 until end of turn. Constellation? That's the new term. And for a Boros, 1 red and 1 Hap has Eyes gets 2/0 till end of turn. Giving it 2/0. This seems okay, doesn't it? You guys have ice and frost on the windshield here this morning where you guys are. A little bit of snow, perhaps. The other day I couldn't find my car window scraper, so I use a plastic store discount card, clean my windows off, scrape the frost off the window. It didn't work very well. I only got 20% off. Let's pass this one. Have Post Eyes. How are we going to rate it? Let's say. I say it's fair. Fair card. Fair to say. A lot of people say it's unfunctional. What part of it is OP? Right. Kanda Profister. Profisper Gruft? Profister. Well, this one hurts my head to say it. Profisper Gruft. Am I saying it right? What color is the sun in the morning? Rose. One mana, blue, and 3 for a 3/5 first strike. Cumulative upkeep, 2 life, and draw a card. This seems actually pretty good, even in CEDH, if you could cumulatively draw cards, this almost looks like the One Ring. It was pay 1 life. Almost got the same mana cost on it. First strike for a 3/5, cumulative upkeep, pay 2 life. Sounds expensive. Pay 2 life and draw a card. So the first turn you're going to pay 2 and draw a card, then 4 and draw 2 cards, then 6 and draw 3 cards. Sounds like 12 life for 5 cards. Kind of expensive. What do you folks think? Let's pass it. Maybe a little overcosted. Somebody stole my coffee mug at work the other night. I reported it stolen. I went down to the police station. Now I've got to go look at a couple of mug shots. See if I can identify the perpetrator. This thing fair, overpowered. Let's give it an OP. Oh, some people say fair. And then this Huskull deity, this is kind of where we left off yesterday. This one says you can't lose the game. All right, what do you do this morning for work? Anybody here working in IT? Anybody working IT? Fail that card, Brain. Okay, let's fail it. Get it out of here. Well, if you're working in IT and you're joining us this morning and you get a cup of coffee, maybe you should start running Java. You want to get up a little earlier to catch the morning show. French people only usually eat 1 egg for breakfast because in France, 1 egg is enough. All right, Huscal Deity, Reed Ashelon, the 2/2. This is the 5 mana 2/2. We saw yesterday. You don't lose the game when Defender convoke Huscal Deity or return all creatures get -1/-1. Let's get it out of here. Bacon and eggs walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Get out of here. We don't serve breakfast." Not gonna do it. Well, let's head over to the stock desk here this morning. We've got some cards to catch up with and an interesting news article for you folks here today. I've got some discussion about serialized Magic the Gathering cards. I thought it was funny. There was a guy who was making stickers on Etsy. They're like the 1 of 500, the serialized card stickers to put on. He sold out quite quickly. People want to get themselves these serialized card stickers. But if you folks have anything to say about serialized cards, this article may be one that interests you. It's by Harvey McGinnis over the Stock Desk. I like Harvey's article, so a shout out to you this morning, Harvey. Thanks for bringing us this one. Let's take a look here. I mean, I don't mind breakfast in bed, but I prefer it in a bowl. Let's check out this article here today. The problem with serialized Magic cards. What does a thesaurus eat for breakfast? Synonym buns. Unless you're a cat, then you probably have a bowl of Mice Krispies. The problem with serialized Magic cards. All right, this Magic the Gathering game is full of special treatments, extended art, border, showcase, foils, the list goes on. And the newest one of these treatments, perhaps the most experimental, is the serialized run. This card reminds me of Twiddler's Place, the one that's coming up here. The Vorinclex opened one of those over at Twiddler's. You like Java Blues? I bought it from his custom numbers, by the way. All right, serialized cards have been hanging out around collector boosters for over a year now, having made their full set debut with the Brothers War back in 2022. Since then, they've largely been the same set to set, otherwise visually identical to a copy of the set's showcase frame. These cards don a special foil treatment of their own, as well as a unique numbering stamp, typically 1 to 500. These have been exceptions, however. So, talking to some other folks actually on the chat, like Robert O'Brien, Robert and I had a little discussion about serialized cards, especially serialized sports cards. And somebody who is familiar with serialized sports cards would know. This is coming from Robert. He says it really depends on the player. If it's a popular player or the player had a good year, then it's tendency to have a higher market price for the serialized versions of the same player. And some players that aren't so popular and don't do very much in the game, their serialized cards don't tend to trade very well or hold too much value. A rookie card, if the rookie has a good year, then it's likely that their serialized printing of their card will be expensive. But if they have a bit of a stinker year and they're not really hot, then it's likely that they won't fetch too much more than the normal price. And after some years, those serialized cards tend to go to the wayside. Outside of the norm, March of the Machines brought us the first departure from the traditional serialized approach via the unique card treatments found on the sets of 5 Praetor cards. For this run, all legendary creatures printed in the multiverse frame had their own serialized version. But the new issue of the set's Praetors, Elish Norn, Taxis, and the extra differentiator, if serialized, their card came with the artwork unseen anywhere else from the set. So we got Vorinclex here. Opened one of these over at Twiddler's Place on one of the games. Serialized cards will be saved by the showcase frames for set collectors. The results of this breaks from tradition, where staggering in all other cases, serialization was a significant multiplier for cards' value, but not on an astronomical scale. Ragavan the Nimbro Pilferer saw more play than Elish Norn Grand Cenobite, and their serialized prices reflected that. Meanwhile, Vorinclex saw less play than both of those two cards, yet the unique art of its serialized version was enough to push its price far beyond that of either card. This wasn't an issue of artificial price inflation. From top heavy listing, either going by TCG player, the special issue serial predators continue to selling quantities akin to the other popular but significantly cheaper serialized cards for the same set. People want cards that feel special, and this exclusively did that. What does Superman eat his breakfast out of? A Super Bowl. This has been the most significant break from the norm by far, but it hasn't been the only break. The One Ring aside, the next experimental finish came with the serialization of the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle Earth. That set had Soul Ring printed in 3 different variants, with each variant having a different serialization of 1 to 300, 700, or 900. And judging the effects, this change is difficult considering that it was the only applied to 3 distinct cards already in a specialty product rather than a unique case in a border set, but overall the data displays a simple trend. Soul Rings printed with lower serialization counts are worth substantially more. So you want a low number on the Soul Ring. I think there was 3 different ones. There was the Dwarven Ring, the Elvish Ring, and the Human Ring. I can't really remember which one was the more popular, but the next time we'd see serialized numericalization. The next time we would see numerical norm breaking was the release of Universes Beyond Doctor Who crossover set, as each titular Doctor card had an extended serialization run respective to their incarnation's number. The 10th Doctor was serialized out of 510, and the 11th Doctor out of 511. While the shortened print runs for Sol Ring had substantial effect, the small increase for the Doctor's set was barely noticeable. And walk the new norms. And this is sort of what Bob was talking about yesterday about reprints of the One Ring. If they're going to do it, perhaps they're going to do it in a manner that just creates kind of a new card. This is sort of what we're seeing as the new norm for Magic cards, getting reprints of cards with different names and different versions. And then we have the actual original card underneath printed across the top. All right, the new norm, and looking at more recent sets such as Lord of the Rings holiday release Murders at Karloff Manor, experimentation with the size of serialized print runs appears to be the new standard. In Lord of the LTC, Lord of the Rings, this was done through the XX1 of 100 run on the cards previously printed in the Realms and Relics cycle, in addition to the XXX of 500 run for poster frame cards, while the Murders at Karloff Manor, this has been bolstered by an XXX of 250 run for serialized cards. Bottom from custom numbers, by the way, 1 to 20 serialized will be saved by the showcase frame in the collector's set. We've seen that the reducing the number of serialized cards frequently increases with their overall price. Less is more in the collectibles world, after all, but whether or not this rises to the same degree of prominence of what we saw experimented with the Predators on the March of the Machine is yet to be seen. Certainly bodes well for the prices and excitement of serialization, but is it enough to make them the flagship collectible that Wizards of the Coast wants them to be? I'm not too sure, and it all comes down to one card, Chromatic Lantern. Okay, it all comes down to this card. The 3-mana artifact that says lands you control have tap add a mana of any color, and then it taps for mana of any color. Why? Why does it come down to this card? I tried to have breakfast at a French restaurant that was haunted. They gave me the creeps. The crepes. Chromatic Lantern has been serialized twice, each in the 1 of 500 runs, essentially the same format. Now, I'll yield that there are different arts between the two, but both use the same foiling, the same retro frame, and the only difference is the art. It's the one that's meant to be a schematic for the other. Some may hold fast to the position that these are different cards, but I can't shake the sense that Wizards effectively doubled the serialization count for a card in what I can only toss up to a modern of a problem of poor foresight. They doubled up the printing on the serialized Chromatic Lantern. The logic behind serialized cards as collectibles is their uniqueness. It's where their price strength comes from. Sure, Hallowed Fountain sets might get reprinted into a million and one times in the lifetime of Magic, but there will only be 500 with a number of corner in the art. And we can look back at 2024 for their release. Right. Well, Chromatic Lantern dashes that notion. It serves as a portent of what Magic can do as time goes on. Reserialize again and again, and not even in substantially unique forms. Granted, there was never any explicit agreement akin to the reserve list stating that Wizards wouldn't do this, but they have it put into question the capacity of limited serialization runs of 1 of 100 and 1 of 250 to be meaningful. So Chromatic Lantern might as well have a print run of 1 of 1,000 now. So what confidence is there that the 1 of 250 card from Murders at Karloff Manor doesn't get doubled back right up to 1 in 500 in their next return to Ravnica? Interesting. So there's no rhyme or reason why Wizards could print serialized cards a second time. Why not? All right, wrapping up, Harvey's got this to say about serialized cards, and so far something to think about. Could you imagine? Does that count? Could functionally identical reprints, but of reserve list cards in serialized form, get around the reserve list? The question is up in the air. This certainly has been a bit more of an alarmist take than I'm used to writing, but the coincidence of the card's double serialization along with the shrinkage of serialized numbers is enough to raise eyebrows, regardless of what you think about Chromatic Lantern. At the very least, it simply seems counterproductive to double up serialized exclusives like Praetor artwork have been more successful in drawing attention to the singles and simply coding print runs. I'm doubtful that more of the same, just with smaller numbers in the art box, will make a massive wave in the sets to come. Looking to something to look out for as we jump into serialized prices, perhaps. Sure, the dawn of the recurring $1,000 standard bulk mythics peaking out of collector boosters. I doubt it. Good morning, Kylan Perdon. We're talking about the problem with serialized cards, and I didn't realize this. So a little bit of learning here this morning coming from Harvey McGinnis. I did not know. Well, I didn't really pay close attention to which serialized cards have had a double tap. What do ships eat for breakfast? Boat meal. And what did Salvador Dali eat for breakfast? Usually a bowl of cereal. Breakfast is usually pretty sad anyway. It is morning. And if you're an electrician, you'll probably have an omelet for breakfast. Double tap on the chromatic lantern. So what does this mean? Can they make? That was an early mistake. A big early mistake in Watsy making two of the same early. We knew it would happen, but not this quick. Yes, mark my words, over time, fans of a particular frame will want to be adhere to a frame collection and a numbered card. Big mistake, double printing the serialized card. How is that going to affect the market? Interesting article here this morning. Thanks, Kylan, for tuning in here this morning. We're looking at serialized cards. We're discussing how many times Wizards can go to the fountain and re-serialize the same cards. Does serializing a reserve list card functionally change the card enough to go ahead and reprint it? Could you imagine a 1 of 500 or 1 in 250 serialized reserve list card? Is that possible? Time will tell. But doubling the serialization of cards, I couldn't agree with you more, Kylan, that was a mistake that maybe Wizards just overlooked. Perhaps they'll have a little tighter quality control to make sure it doesn't happen again. But how many times can you go to the well on a serialized card? Just once? Twice? Can you re-serialize it in different frames and different sets and reprint it again and again? At that point, I think it starts to lose its value. Like I was talking to Robert O'Brien, it's not like a rookie card for sports or baseball where every season that goes by, the player will accumulate stats. So a rookie card, perhaps there's the Chromatic Lantern rookie, and then there's the Chromatic Lantern second year and the third year. I think at that point it becomes a little bit watered down and the point becomes sort of moot. All right, we were talking about this yesterday about the secret layer. So mistakes in quality control over at Wizards of the Coast. We talked about this yesterday. The new secret layer accidentally nerfs a classic card. For better or for worse, Magic the Gathering's relentless spoiler season is, well, a truly back in full force. Since returning from their holiday break, we've had not but one but two spoiler seasons, and following a swift Murders at Karlov Manor, the latest round of Magic Secret Layer drops stole the show, with reprints being revealed each day. The overwhelming drip feed of content is practically being never ending. Thankfully, at long last, the release date for the winter 2024 Super Drop is finally upon us, putting an end to the set spoiler season. But players can finally look forward to actually purchasing these cards before that time comes. However, Wizards of the Coast did have one last reveal up their sleeve. This one here. Keeping the worst to last, And a final, rather dire secret lair drop, Deception Divination. A lot of people say these cards look cheap, black and white, but the deceptive divination has been revealed worryingly beyond its dismal value. The secret lair drop appears to have major misprint, making one of the Magic the Gathering cards almost useless and almost unplayable counterspell. This card here, Circular Logic. First printed in Torment, Circular Logic, a classic counterspell that's been around for literally decades. Despite its provenance, Circular Logic isn't a very good magic card in the first place, but since it's a 3-mana counterspell, as if it was poorly costed enough, Circular Logic also requires a good deal of fuel to be effective. They will have to continue to be more creative in the future for serialized cards like Predators and March of the Machine were excellent, having unique artwork to the serialized and not slab a number on the same art. It was first artifacts to play on the flavor, now regular cards. They restarted 30 years. Through the details combined, Circular Logic is completely unplayable in the vast majority of Magic decks. Even in Commander, they don't really want to run it as a usual counterspell. Thankfully, to save it from being draft chaff, Circular Logic has the saving grace of Madness. If it's discarded, this counterspell can be cast for just 1 mana, which seems about fair for its requirements. However, while it's far from a tier 1 archetype, Circular Logic does see some play in modern Madness decks, simply Madness decks, and Commander can also make its use this card, but is hardly a staple. In theory, being a cult card that would make the new Secret Lair variant, a Circular Logic, surprisingly lucrative. That would be the case, however, if it was playable. For some bizarre reason, the new Secret Lair artworks made Circular Logic a sorcery rather than an instant, and as you might suspect, this makes the card effectively unplayable outside of its madness ability, since it is essentially the only way it's played. This nerf might not be a devastating at first thought, but considering there's a large market for misprints, this new Circular Logic could be rather desirable. That being said, this misprint isn't going to be uncommon by any means. According to Wizards, this misprint was made print this print misprint has made print and effects both foil and non-foil variants of the deceptive divination, and always, while this misprint is unfortunate, it does not change the playability of the card at all. The functional oracle text for Circular Logic remains as always. As much as Circular Logic is undeniably an interesting oddity in terms of value, this card is severely lacking. Thanks to a bounty of reprints, recently seen a Dominaria Remastered, this card is effectively worthless, costing just 7 cents. There's really no demand for this card, so its secret layer value is being a total mystery. Unfortunately, the value of the Deceptive Divination secret layer drop doesn't get much better outside of Circular Logic. Moving up, the next most expensive card is the Wall of Omens at 31 cents. And while it's cheap, the Wall of Omens does see some commander play according to EDH Rec, but it's hardly a beloved staple. I'm behind on the stream. 2x Brody. Go, 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 brr. Brody printer, go, burr. I usually eat 4 eggs. I'm a pig. Thankfully, the same isn't true for Eternal Witness, as they're in an immensely popular card found in over 350,000 commander decks. Eternal Witness is truly a green staple. For better or for worse, despite the status, Eternal Witness is also incredibly cheap due to the being reprinted into the ground. While this may disappoint some Magic Finance friends, there should be a demand for this fancy secret layer variant. I think it's kind of strange to have a secret layer. This is interesting to see how this is shaking out. Like a secret layer where the majority of the cards are worth just pennies. Like it seems counterproductive for Wizards to print a secret layer, the printing cost, the shipping cost, and then the total value of the secondary market price of those cards is like a couple of dollars, worth less than what the packaging and the printing costs. It seems kind of strange and counterproductive. It seems like a snake eating its own tail. All right, topping the value of the charts for the secret layer drop is the scheming symmetry. It's worth a staggering $4.75. In the case, the sarcasm wasn't lost through text. The symmetrical tutor is now not very popular or expensive, practically only seeing play in Commander while there's little demand for this risky bomb. How will this sell? With limited stock of the 2024 Super Drop on sale, only one question remains: how will each secret layer sell? Unfortunately, this is an easy question to answer. Conserving the lack of value, first impressions may seem like the super drop will be a super flop. Super drop or super flop. In reality, however, the success or failure of the secret layer drop depends on the print volume. As the first limited stock secret layer super drop, the 2024 drop is uncharted territory. While including the misprint in there might perhaps bring some more rarity to the set. But thanks to this, no one really knows what's going to happen until throughout the month. In theory, each secret layer could sell out incredibly quick thanks to eager players and scalpers alike. Alternatively, should demand be high enough, many of the secret layers may never sell out at all. And right now, we're just what happens when they have a fumble on a secret layer like this? And is there more to come? Is that going to impact the price? Is that going to impact the sales? Is Wizard going to be sitting on a bunch of these? Well, right now we just have to wait and see what happens throughout the following weeks, and only then will we know what the extent of the current demand is and how that may affect prices going forward. Interesting enough. What do you folks think about the latest fumble on the secret layer? Shifting a card from instant speed to sorcery speed, albeit by accident. It does bode the question, is that going to affect the sales of secret layer, of that particular secret layer? Because it is timed, right? It's going to be sent out as quickly as possible. Limited print run on the secret layers, but what happens if you have an oof or something where like the entire secret layer itself is worth less than the price you're going to pay for it? It could bode not so well for Wizards of the Coast. Let's take a look at one more news article here for you folks this morning when you're starting your day here with a little coffee in your cup. Eggs for breakfast, cereal for breakfast, maybe bacon for breakfast. If you want to fill up fast, you can get yourself some French eggs. They fill you up quite quickly. If you're having 4 eggs for breakfast, Twiddler, perhaps just switch to French eggs because in French, 1 egg is an œuf. Magic players frustrated by poor secret layer promo selection. No more bacon or sausage for me. Starting today, players will have the opportunity to pick up some new secret layer products of the Super Drop series now available. There's a wide range of bundle options for players to purchase. Of course, players can also pick up secret layer products individually, but if you're interested in obtaining multiple secret layers at once, picking up a bundle might be your best option. Too much sodium. A few of the bundles in particular also come out with a new foil alternate art red bordered copy of the Scorpion God as a bonus. Scorpion God promo is available till March 3rd, and it should be noted that the secret layers are typically limited stock. Let's take a closer look at exactly how you can get a copy of the Scorpion God with your next purchase. This is the Scorp God? All right. Somebody posted a article online the other day with some of these cards in their hand. They said, take a look at you thought sees me, you take a look at my hand. What colors am I playing? Murray Cooper just stopped in to drop a high and a like. Now I must leave for work. Bye, y'all. I'm sorry your schedule is so hectic these days, Murray. It's nice that you think of us to stop by. We're thinking of you here this morning. Stay warm out there, bundle up. What do you think of the secret lair Scorpion God? Well, getting your hands on the Scorpion God promo is actually rather easy. There are 3 bundles that each come with a different secret lair options all in one place. The Savory non-foil bundle, unsurprisingly, comes with every secret lair card in non-foil. Really? You can get secret lair bundles now? By contrast, all the Sweet Foils bundle come with all the cards in foil. Finally, everything on the menu bundle is available for players who want access to all the cards in both foil and non-foil. Okay, so now secret layer bundles are going to be a thing. Buying the two bundles separately is about $10 more expensive than buying the one mega bundle, all three of which will get you one copy of the Scorpion God. So you're effectively paying $10 per extra copy if you want to maximize your promo allotment. Whether that's worth it is up to you. And for context, the Locust God promo goes for $10, and the cheapest version is only 2 to 3. The Scarab God promo that goes for $15. The cheapest version goes for 10, and the Scorpion God goes for $1 to $2. Well, there's no information. Obvious, that much is obvious. Every one of these bundles will come with a copy of the Scorpion God at no additional cost. Importantly, if you choose to buy multiple of the same bundles listed above, you'll receive a copy of the Scorpion God for each bundle you ordered. For example, if you wanted multiple copies of the Scorp God, but they were still looking to get every secret layer card in foil and non-foil, rather than buying everything on the menu for $2.99, you could buy the foil and non-foil bundles for $179 and $129 each respectively. This would total $309 or $299.99. So you would essentially be paying an extra $9.99 to get two promos of the Scorp God instead of just one. Unfortunately, though, while this may sound like a nice deal, the Scorpion God promos are unlikely to go for much money. And here's a copy of the Locust God. These don't even look like Magic cards anymore. It was neat to have one or two or a couple of these different printings, but now we're just getting like so far off the game design beaten path. It's getting a little bit, well, ridiculous, right? How long is this going to keep up? I don't know. It could be indefinitely, but the game we play is starting to look a lot different, and being recognizable is just about as impossible as taking a look at this Locust God and actually calling it a Magic card. It's kind of hard to discern. Now that the secret layers are available in bundles where you can just get all the secret layers in a bundle, that seems like a new development. Something that Wizard said. If you missed out on the secret layers, you can always buy the entire bundle and get them all. Another way of increasing the print run, interestingly, and packaging up as a new product altogether. The secret layer bundles going to be available. What do you think? Are you buying them? $300 for the secret layer bundle, or you can get the foil version. Trying trying really really going hard on the secret layer here, Wizards of the Coast. Wow. Needs more reprints, right? While we don't know exactly how much for, we can certainly see that we get enough rough estimate. Both the Locust God and the Scarab God have appeared in secret layer promos in the past, and neither of them break the bank. Locust God, for instance, worth over $2 at its cheapest in traditional form according to TCG Player Market Price. Foil Secret Layer promo is roughly $10 by comparison, and the Scarab God is worth much more as it's the cheapest traditional form, sitting at around $11. The Scarab God was actually, I think, was the best god. That was the Demir god that lets you scry X and create X zombies, where X is the number of zombies you control. Scarab God is still also played in Commander, so he's the one that's actually holding some value, still in and to this day. Even with the reprints, the 4 promo variant has only been $15 and $16, and the Scorp God's general price is roughly $3, meaning the promo variant is unlikely to be worth much more than the Locust God promo is, if at all. Scarab God was the best. The others were trash. Scarab God, the best god, right? Assuming this is the case, there isn't much of a benefit either way towards purchasing the major $2.99 bundle of the foil and non-foil bundles separately, as the price difference between the bundles is likely similar to the price difference between a single copy of the Scorp God or two. Players are disappointed. They did this one. They did this one the most annoying way. They did this one the most annoying way possible. You have to buy a bundle, a full bundle of foil or non-foil or both to get one. Doesn't count the smaller bundle offers, Dark Mysteries or Beastly Breakfast Omens to mix and match. Overall, after the way promos of the Locust God were handled in the previous Super Drop, it's nice that there's plenty of clarity regarding how to get a hold of the Scorp God indeed. But that being said, it isn't to say that players are a bit disappointed with the promo selection and the way to receive it. In the last Super Drop, players needed to spend at least $200. The issue came from the fact that the Black Friday discount conveniently put certain bundle options well below the $200 threshold. What is a secret layer going for? I thought the prices varied. We reviewed the secret layers last year and we tallied up the value of the individual cards in the secret layer and compared them to the box price. And in many cases, it was probably, I would say, looking back, was about a 60-40 split. In most cases, the secret layer reprints, you could even find the original printings for cheaper. So it wasn't really worth, the juice was not worth the squeeze to pick up the bundle. And in a lot of cases, if you wanted to get the secret layer drop, it was only for getting the different version of the art. All right, well, while a bit frustrating, this did give players a chance to mix and match bundles of their choice. Now, as memories of final points out above, you could end up spending more money by buying multiple of the other bundles listed as the Dark Mysteries bundle and ultimately not receive the promo. Players generally underwhelmed by the promo choice. Don't fall for the FOMO of the promo. Will be the secondary market for cheap, and then you can buy into it. Players generally underwhelmed by the promo choice as it doesn't hold much value in the first place. Obviously, Wizards of the Coast is sticking with the God theme, but unlike Scarab God, the Scorp God isn't worth much to begin with. Additionally, the art and border style of the promo is rather controversial, and plenty of players aren't fans. It waits to be seen how much this style ends up being used in the future, and if a reprint value from future secret layer promos ends up being better, well, but for now, players have sure to voice their opinions on this matter. So, repacks and repackaging the secret layer bundles again and again and again. Again, how many times can you, like, how secret is the secret layer if now you can get a secret layer bundle, which goes back and includes all the secret layers that were previously printed in foil or non foil? Not so secret. Spoiler alert. Also, voting the question about serialized magic cards and how that is going to pan out as the future goes on. The new advent of serialized cards and secret layer definitely piddles the imagination to think that, oh, these cards are going to be special once again. But now that I'm seeing this, I'm starting to really get a bad feeling about this. Secret layer bundles, reprinting all the secret layers in one spot, and then the double serialization of some cards. How many times can you go to the well with serialized cards? How many serialized soul rings can we have? Only time will tell. It seems like Wizards of the Coast got the printer running hard, and it might take some pushback from players. Maybe they won't sell out of it to get the point that we want some collectible game pieces, not just regular game pieces. Man, that's quite interesting. In many cases, you can buy the secret layer individual cards on the secondary market for cheaper than the secret layer costs in the first place. And I wonder what kind of a price tag we would fetch if we added up the cost of all the secret layers that you get in the bundle and compare that to what Wizards is selling them for. Very, very interesting. All right, let's get to some movers and the shakers here this week. It's Tuesday. What are we doing? Modern Monday, Tuesday Pioneer. Let's look at the Pioneer list here this morning and see what's moving and shaking in the world of Magic the Gathering. Thank you all for joining me. Who we got? Gaming Bob, Benson, Twiddler, Kylan, wherever you folks are tuning in from. It's great to have some company here in the morning. The best part of my day, waking up, having a cup of coffee, and looking at some news in the world of Magic the Gathering to see what's going on. What do we got here? Was your Ornithopter serialized? Don't fall for the FOMO. Richie Dubs hates the Scarab God. I hate that Scarab God. God, is he a pain in the butt. He's quite good. I lost a few games to the Scarab God and I decided to start playing it. All right, why did the chicken stop in the middle of the road? Because he wanted to lay it on the line. And who tells the best egg jokes of them all? Comedians. All right. Speaking of breakfast, bacon, and eggs, here's a segue for the next section of the show here. The movers and the shakers list here this morning. We're looking at the Pioneer list. Modern Monday, Tuesday Pioneer, Wednesday tomorrow we'll do Pauper. Let's see what we got. Archangel of Tice here this morning. Tice, an interesting card. I like it. Crashing Footfalls. Man, cards up a bunch. Still seeing play in Modern. The Footfalls. Very interesting. All right, top of the list here this morning, coming in at a tick up of 6%, and it's $15.92 for this card here, Archangel of Tice from Origins. What kind of versions do we have here? Just a foil version for $22 and a non-foil for 16. Looks like we've only got what? Look at the list printing of it. Looks like it's only online. So as long as Archangel of Tice is untapped, creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. As long as the Archangel of Tice is attacking, creatures can't block it unless their controller pays 1 for each of those creatures. A decent card and commander. Who's going to leave mana up to block? And who's going to leave mana up to be able to attack? Seems good against a creature deck like Edric. Making your opponents pay 1 for each attacking creature seems pretty good. The Archangel can do it at 3-5. This thing's taking a tick up in price. And why is that? Let's take a look at the chart here. I want to see. Well, it's been down, actually. This card's kind of fell out of favor. Stock pattern of the day. Easily recognizable. Let's take a look. What do we got here? Looks sort of like this one, doesn't it? A head and shoulders, perhaps. Head and shoulders, knees and toes, right? Does this look like a bit of a head and shoulders? Well, let's read on to find out. What does that mean? Head and shoulders pattern tries to predict a bull to bear market reversal. So a bullish to bearish market reversal. Head and shoulders, not a good thing if you're holding this card. Good if you're going to buy it. Characterized with a peak and 2 smaller peaks on either side, all 3 levels fall back to the same support level. The trend is likely to be a breakout in a downward motion. So if I look at this card here, this almost looks like a bit of a head and shoulders. Now, not the shampoo, you know what you folks are thinking, not the shampoo, sort of right here. A dip on either side and then shoulder right here, indicating a downward reversal. Quite likely the case here with this one. The Archangel of Tice. What's the top? Oh, wow. This actually was quite a popular card back in Origins and Shadows over Innistrad. This thing has never been as high as it once was in Shadows over Innistrad. Michael Superbacker. Hey, how you doing, mister? Nice to see you. Coming in all the way from Boston. Nice to have you with us this morning. Say hello. Wish you well this morning. Hope you enjoy your day. We're taking a look at Archangel of Tice. Look at the chart on this. Hasn't seen a reprint since Origins. And it was sitting here at around $25, right around Shadows over Innistrad. Sort of fell out of favor and hasn't really done a lot. Look at this, just slowly ticking up in price. And now it's like, there's a head and shoulders pattern that we're looking at here this morning, which looks like just like this, actually. The head and shoulders. Let's see if we can draw a circle. Oh, yeah. Brody doesn't want to just draw lines on charts. I want to draw a circle for you folks. I'm circling the wagons here with you folks. So it looks like a bit of a head and shoulders pattern, which would indicate a downward market reversal. I see some support actually coming in right here. Let's put a line under that just to take a look here. The support line right under here looks like it hit around the $10 mark. Yeah, in and around $10 where we saw some support for this. and now it's starting to take a tick up in price. But according to the stock market chart patterns, this indicates a downward price trend. So is it going to continue up? A lot of things would depend on that. I guess if we do see a reprint, Commander Angel's probably the place where we're going to see this Pioneer card. Yes, Giada the Font of Hope, Gave Guru Spores. Gave playing it in Saprolings and Oloro Aegis Aesthetic. Gisela the Broken Blade, Queen Marchesa, and Drana Linvala. Shalai the Voice of Plenty. So Saprolings playing it, go wide strategies with creatures. I guess this is a way of taxing your opponent out of being able to block. Interesting card. And the Grim Toots. Toot, toot, toot. This one here, M19. There's definitely some value here. 3-mana tutor, up 4%. It's now $20. Grim Tutor, Core 2021. Seems good. $20.94 for the Grim Tutor. Search your library for any card, put it in your hand, then shuffle, you lose 3 life. This one's another popular card in CEDH, just straight up demonic tutor. Really good. And I think that the new case that's come out, we talked about it yesterday, the black one that lets you demonic tutor, will also see some play. It doesn't seem too bad. Gives you a sack outlet or something to sacrifice. The Grim Tutor definitely seeing some action here. How many different printings? What's the cheapest one? Looks like $19. $18 for Core 2021. This is the cheapest one. $18. All the other ones are more money. $55 for this starter. Oh, look at this version. Anybody got this one from Starter 1999? This one's the expensive one, $50. One who goes unpunished never learns. Never punished, Brody. All right, Grim Tutor, let's take a look at the chart. It doesn't seem like it's been going anywhere. This tutor's been heading it west to east in and around $20 for the longest time since it was printed. Very stable. Look at this card. No volatility whatsoever. Looks like a safe place to play. If you're swing trading, this ain't the card for you. The card's been definitely holding steady in and around the $20 bill mark. Need a Grim Tutor. If anyone has spares, get at me. It's like a $20 bill all day long, and it has been for quite a while. Can't see that change. Most decks playing it, yes, of course, as we said, Commander. It's not as good as the Demonic Tutor, but for $20, what's the Demonic Tutor worth? What's the cheapest one? Let's take a look. Demonic Toots, $39 for the revised version. So the better tutor is twice the price. It makes sense. It costs 1 less mana and it costs you $20 more to get it. I guess the mystery booster is the cheapest version of it at 34. So Grim Tutor, not bad. The Demonic Tutor, even better. The price kind of makes sense. I guess as Grim Tutor goes up, the Demonic Tutor has to go up and be a little better because it is 2 mana. And then what's this? We had Archangel of Tithe, and now we have Archangel of Tune. Double Archangel making the list here this morning. And another card I'm kind of interested to get to, considering it's a lands card. 3/4 flying lifelink. Whenever you gain life, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. This seems quite good in a proliferate deck or a tokens matter or a counters deck. How much? $32. That's an expensive angel. Wow. Coming in on the list here this morning, the Archangel of Tithe. How many printings do we got? One from M14 in the foil version. Iconic Masters. Check your bulk. Holy smoke. This is an expensive card. $55. Myself, this would be something that I'd buy list if I was sitting on extra copies of it. I can't see it going too much higher, but if you got yourself a Iconic Masters foil, it'll fetch you $50 in trade. Decks using it. Let's look at the chart on this one. It's been higher. It has been higher. Looks like it's been higher in January 2016. It's an older card going back to Magic 2014 and then Strixhaven. This thing hasn't really seen any price action for some time. Why not? Let's take a look here. Decks using it, Giada Font of Hope. So the deck that also plays the Archangel of Tithe is also playing the Archangel of Tune. Tithing and tuning here. Tuning in. This card would definitely tune in the morning show. Aloro, Ageless Aesthetic. Lysa, Shroud of Dusk, and Will Scion Parla, the Ghost Council, Tristani, Selesnya Voice, Heliod Suncuck, and the Land of the Dusk Rose. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, and Darien, King of Keldor. This card here, I like. This is a card I want to get. It's kind of niche and not a lot of play it. Not a lot of people play it. I think this would be a fun card. Whenever you're dealt damage, you may create that many 1/1 white soldier tokens. I like this card. Something worth playing with mono white. And the Archangel of Tune. What else we got on the list here? Scape Shift. This is a card that was really, really excited to get a reprint. Morning Tide foil cost you $90. The original Morning Tide, 17. And I want to take a look at the chart to see if we can possibly notice how a reprint affects the price of this card. Yes, look at here. This is what we call some volatility, right? Here's a card that was reprinted and then was all soaring up to around the $60 mark. And when it did finally see a reprint, and then this thing took a crash and a tumble downward, sad to say. This card took a tumble and a fall from grace. It was about the $60 mark. It was very popular and playable, especially in Modern and Valakut Exploration. And it's even played in Legacy from time to time in lands. Commander plays it, Scape Shift. Definitely a card that's seen a reprint. And the Morning Tide version was all the way up to $60, and then it got hit with the reprint hammer, and now it's down to 17. Funny how the Morning Tide version is the cheapest one. What's this done to the foil price? Sort of in and around the same thing? Let's take a look at the chart. How this is a good example of how reprints can affect the price of Magic cards. Yes, the Morning Tide foil in and around here 2018 was about $150. So this thing like desperately needed a reprint for people to stay interested in. Quick question about the Grim Tutor. The started 1999 version says search your library for a card and put that card into your hand, lose 3 life. It does not say then shuffle your library. That's a good point, Michael. We are going to have to shuffle that library. You definitely do. So what matters is some of the old text on some of the older cards didn't include all the text. If you go to something like Goldfish is okay because they tell you what the card does, but if you ever are questioning about an older or new version of a card, go to the Gatherer, and that's where you want to take it from. That is where you want to take the Oracle text from. So if we go to the Gatherer, this is always a good place to get the latest errata of a card or the latest rules text, because it will tell you all the versions of the card when it was printed, and it'll give you the actual Oracle text. And this is not a bad thing to do if you're playing a niche card, because here it says search your library for a card, put the card in your hand, then shuffle, you lose 3 life. So this would apply to all versions of the card. And it's a good thing, especially with older cards, because some of them are non-intuitively. Some of the older cards still work the way that you would expect them to, but sometimes there's a new printing of a card comes out, and it's good to check here. So we do get a shuffle off. Scale Shift highlights exactly what I've been saying about the absolute decimating effects of reprint in the MTG aggregate. All other versions say shuffle. Yes. Good question. Thank you, Michael. It's errata to say shuffle. There's a thing called Oracle text. The best part of the Gatherer is the comment section. They turned it off, but can read old comments. Oh, you can't put new ones on. So the old Oh, really? The old comments still stick around? Interesting. Yeah, that's a good place to go. If I'm brewing commander decks and I'm throwing some of my old cards in there that might have simplistic text on it, like here's an interesting card. Let's look at Blessing. So here's a good instance of that. Here's a card named Blessing, Michael, and it says target creature gains +1/+1 until end of turn. And then if you look at the revised edition, they kind of got lazy with the wording, and all it says is white mana +1/+1. It's like, what do you do with this? If you had the older version of the card, you'd know how it works. But this one, I guess early in Magic, would be very difficult for people to understand what this means. So some cards have a little more text and some have less, depending on the older version and the newer version. So always a good thing to go to the Gatherer or a site that has the proper Oracle text to check it. Was probably a really good example of how like a lot of text is missing from Blessing. Bless you for that comment this morning, Michael. I give to you the Calonian Hydra. Trample 0/0 enters the battlefield with 4/1/1 counters on it. Whenever a Hydra attacks, double the amount of 1/1 counters on each creature you control. This seems very good. If you're playing a counters deck, you want to proliferate. Perhaps it's 5 mana for a Hydra. That's pretty par for the course. 5 mana gets you a nice big Hydra with trample. Even Balosphere, it's feeding time. Want to see a troll commander? Hack on Stromgeld Scourge. I'll have to check them out. The Scourge. Let's take a look at the chart on this Hydra. It's been out for a while. Perhaps people thought Hydra is going to be a little more popular than what they are because Strixhaven was about the resistance for this card, and this seemed to take a little bit of a tumble in price. Maybe it's coming back. Hard to say. This Hydra is worth only about $10 if you ask me. Hail Hydra. Definitely Gargaros, the Vicious Watcher, playing it in Commander. Commander Hydras seems good. Let's look at Hakon. Why you got to be such a hack? Hack on. Make sure I spell it right. The Stromgeld Scourge. Here's a troll command. Zombie Knight. You may cast Hakon's Stromgeld Scourge from your graveyard, but not anywhere else. As long as Hakon's on the battlefield, you may cast night spells from your graveyard. When Hakon dies, you lose 2 life. You can only cast them from the graveyard. Why is he a troll? Zombie Knight. Basically a useless commander. You could never get him out of the command zone. He would be stuck there forever. This is hilarious. It is a Yes, it's a zombie knight. That's funny because he can't leave the command zone. There's no way to get him into the graveyard to play him. He just starts there and he stays put. This is almost like the you face the window. This is the detention command, right? You put him there for detention. This is stupid. Hakon is very, very disappointed in EDH in the commander voice. He's like, you have excluded me entirely. And this black zombie knight just basically he's sad about things. Very sad. Until they make an Entome effect specifically for your commander, he is denied. Well, I guess like is that a spec? Like what's Hakam worth, right? Let's see here. How much is the cold snap? Cold snap foils, very cheap. $47 for the cold snap foil of Hakam. Holy moly. It hasn't really moved. And why is it so expensive? You can't play it in Commander. $47. Well, he's played in Commander, but he's played in the 99. So here's the thing. If there was ever a speculation, this is the type of speculation I love, is that is that card broken? It doesn't work. It's broken in the real sense of being broken. Like it doesn't work. It's not broken like this is really good broken. It's like broken. It's like really bad broken. It was reprinted to the list on March Machine Commander in a precon. So if you think ever they made a card that let's mark this date. Okay, February 6, 2024. Benson says we need to make an entomb ability that moves your commander from the command zone to the graveyard. And if they ever do, let's see, $47 is the price for the Hakon Cold Snap foil. Would he be worth a whole lot more if you could somehow get him to the command zone? From the command zone to the graveyard? Perhaps. Only time will tell. Hakon. Shaka Khan. Shaka Khan. What do we got here? Next on the list? Heroa's God of Victory. That's a funny card. Was printed before Commander was a thing. Legendary Enchantment God. This is the devotion for red and white. Less than 7. Creatures you control have Menace, and prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. So it's like got Dolmen Gate printed on it. Your attacking creatures can't take damage. Seems pretty good. This is definitely not a Pioneer card. It's probably played in Commander for sure. This is a Theros card. Correct me if I'm wrong. Journey to Nyx. Excuse me. All right, Nyx. This card here. A little bit of a head and shoulders if you see it here. Head and shoulders, which would mean that this card here is probably going to take a break to the downward. That's usually what it means. Coach, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us here. We're just talking about commanders that don't leave the command zone. Khan being very sad that he doesn't get to leave. Stuck in limbo. All right, commander cards playing. Aronis got a victory. And then the Leonin War Leader. Here's a cat. I want to know what is this from M19? What was the original printing on this? Secret Lair, Jumpstart, Core Set. Okay, I played this in Arena a little bit. The War Leader, it gives you the cat tokens with lifelink and a lifelink deck. Who knew this would be a $7 or $8 card? What's the foil version? Oh my gosh, kitties. This one's the expensive one, $32 from Secret Lair. What? And then the Core 2020, this has got to be a mistake. It says this one's $6,019. No way. There's no art to go with it. So this is definitely an anomaly. Watch out for that. That's not a thing. Order of the Bro. I'm a Brodite. Alphonsonian's a real world. It is. So the War Leader, the cat that makes lifelink tokens, of course, it's in Commander, in life gain decks, and it's good to make yourself some blockers. It can actually help you out late in the game. A 3 bodies for 1 card, not too pretty bad. And then the Nyxos Shrine to Nyx. Here's a card I need to get if I'm ever going to build Devotion. Choose a color, add an amount of mana equal to that color, equal to your devotion to that color. Your devote permanents you control. Nyxos Shrine to Nyx. Are we going to see a reprint on this? Is it even on the list? What's it worth? Theros foil, $62. This hasn't made it has made the list, but the list copy is still 35. It's in and around the same amount. It's a card I'm going to need to get. And again, a good homage that says lands are a good investment. Real estate tends to be good, especially long term. One of the most fun parts of Magic for me was always seeing new cards and racking my brain for old cards that synergize. Me too. I like doing that. Maybe new cards will make some cards that help other existing cards work. And like a card like the Hakan, who is just like, he just plain old sucks. He can't do anything in Commander. He just sits there. Do you think they'd put some time and energy into getting him out? I think Michael Superbacker and Richie Dubs, I know that synergy is great, but I think for a lot of times when we get a new synergy in the game, a new card that works well with an old card, sometimes I can't help but think it's mostly by accident. I don't tend to think that Wizards of the Coast keeps that in mind at all when they say, we got to make this work with an older mechanic. I think it's typically by accident, and it's up to the players to try and comb back through the old cards and see if we can get some synergy. I think it's mostly unintentional. And then, like, sometimes you get some really, really powerful synergies. I can't help but think it's not done on purpose. I know Friday, hopefully, for what brand. I'll know Friday, hopefully, for what brand. Nowadays, not so much, but they used to play test for modern. So Nixo Shrine to Nyx, this is definitely going in a monocolored decks. Krenko Mobos, Jada the Font of Hope, mono white, mono black, even an Orzhov, mono greens playing it in mono red. They don't play test so much, and I think that the play testing is kind of like being considered as an unnecessary or undervalued subgroup of game development because you could spend less on play testers and just use the ban list to correct any oversights later, perhaps. The ban list is like the curbs on either side of the street. Cryptolith Right, Shadows over Innistrad. Creatures you control have tapped to add 1 mana of any color. A decent card from Innistrad for $15.99. Chatterfang's playing it, Commander decks. When you want to make dorks tap for mana, this seems okay. Shadows over Innistrad. A card, some cards, what's the foil version for? Some cards that are worth a bit of money here. And then Cryptolith Right, and then Grave Betrayal. Enchantment card, whenever a creature you don't control dies, return to the battlefield under your control with additional 1/1 counter. At the beginning of the next end step, that creature is a black zombie in addition to its other types. All right. You want to look at some of the best selling cards in Magic the Gathering according to the new set? Let's take a look here at some of the best sellers, okay? So, according to Card Market, I wanted you guys to keep this on your radar. The hottest selling cards for the new set of Magic the Gathering Murders of Karloff Manor. I want you to hear it here first, folks, okay? So, these are the cards that are selling the hottest and the most from the new set of Murders at Karloff Manor. First card on the list we're going to take a look at here is this one, Forensic Gadgeteer. You're going to see this card come up on some feed and on some headlines here. The Gadgeteer says whenever you cast an artifact spell, you investigate and activate abilities of artifacts you control cost 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the number of that mana cost to less than 1 mana. So this thing is the guy that power artifacts your artifacts. It makes your clue tokens 1 less to sacrifice, makes your food tokens cost 1 less to sacrifice. And this guy is seeing card sales as one of the hottest top selling cards from the new set. If you want to reduce your mana cost on your artifacts, I think I need to get a copy of it. Power Artifact just got a boost. So Power Artifact is an enchantment that can reduce an activation cost. This is another way to make infinite mana with things like Grim Monolith or Basalt Monolith, just another way to reduce the costs. So Gadgeteer being the one of the top selling cards from the new set. Crime Novelist, we'll get some sales data by the end of the week, but Crime Novelist, whenever you sack an artifact, this is the one that gets you a +1/+1 counter and adds you a red. So Treasures just got even better between these two. Crime Novelist being one of the top, and then this card, I can't seem to find it anywhere. Especially in Canada. Now, if you want to talk about where to find it, I'm sure there's some of the big ones, but up in Canada, this card seems sold out. Tokens you control have add 1 mana of any color. So this turns all your rocks, like your clue tokens and your treasure tokens, into like Moxen. So creature tokens you control. Oh no, not just tokens, creature tokens. So this turns all your little 1/1 dudes into dorks, right? And whenever one or more creature cards leaves your graveyard, you get a 0/1 plant creature token, then put a 1/1 counter on each plant you control. I can't find this card anywhere. It's sold out on Face to Face, and they don't have any other versions available. So this is going to take some time. Very hot and very popular, sold out in stores. So the top 3 best-selling cards is the Gadgeteer, which reduces your mana cost on your artifact activations by 1. The Novelist, which essentially makes your treasure tokens even better. double ramp on your treasure tokens, and then the insidious roots all getting a lot of sales action here from the new set. The Scry lands are something that, or the Surveil lands are something that we talked about yesterday, and folks that are playing these in Modern with Rhinos seem to say that this card is busted because the synergy of being able to surveil added a lot of layers to the game, especially in the early goings in turn 1 and turn 2 when you're not really doing too much. And then the Aurelia Law of Hope. This is the new Aurelia. Flying Vigilance Haste. Whenever a creature attacks with 3 or more creatures, you draw a card. Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia the Law above deals 3 damage to each of your opponents, and you gain 3 life. So these are the popular ones from Murders at Karloff Manor. Now, keep that in mind. If you're going out and you're cracking packs, you want to know this, because you don't. If you don't know, now you know. If you're cracking packs and you hit the Gadgeteer, and you're cracking packs and you hit the Novelist, or you're cracking packs and you hit the Insidious Roots or any of the Scry lands, hold on to them. Don't trade them, because there will be people out there looking for these cards and the price will be cheap. The Gadgeteer can't be worth more than a couple of bucks. Let's see, is there a price on it? Forensic Gadgeteer. $3. So when this is the hottest selling card in the new set, and it's only worth $3, there's probably going to be people that want to try and get this if you open it up. But keep in mind, this could go higher if it stays that way and it continues to be one of the top selling cards of the new set. I bought more MTG product yesterday. I got some secret layer drops. Which one did you get, Bob? Why'd you do it, Bob? Which ones did you get? All right, folks. That's the time for the hour. I got to get moving and grooving here this morning. I want to thank you folks for joining me. These are your movers, your shakers, and some discussion about the new secret layer and the bundles that are coming out. Is it worth it to buy the bundle? The secret layer bundle? Did you buy the secret layer bundle there, Bob? Like the whole shebang, the $300 one that includes all the secret layers? Let me know. Holy smokes, that's quite a bit of money for all the secret layers. And if you're opening packs of the new set, keep your eyes out for the Forensic Gadgeteer. It's a hot card right now. That and the Crime Novelist, as well as Insidious Roots. Those are 3 cards you're going to probably want to hold on to in your packs. And while the cards are cheap, you might want to hold on to those for a little while and considering trying to build a deck with them. If you're not going to use them right away, make sure you hold on to them to play a little later. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's Tuesday, the February 6th, here on the morning show. Wherever you are, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you all. We'll see you tomorrow on the Wednesday. Should be good. Got a couple more things to discuss with you folks on that one. Cops are at the door. They're going to arrest Brody. Giving away too much. Giving away too much information here on the morning show. If you like tracking the prices of Magic cards, let me do it for you. I'm doing it in the mornings, weekdays, here on the Brody Alfonso Magic the Gathering Stocks and Talk Show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Have a good one.